From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow, of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.
Hey guys, Boston Chris here with the #1 resource for independent music in Northeast Texas. It's the ETX ROCKS show, and man, I'm super stoked about today's show. We have the legendary John DeFoore here in the ETX ROCKS living room, and he's worked with dang near everybody that is anybody in East Texas, including over a dozen artists that have been on our show as well. And so multiple decades writing songs, playing music, and just really looking to pick his brain because he's one of the better songwriters around as well. Because, I mean, he has to be. He's been teaching others how to write songs his dang near your whole life, right?
Pretty much. I started teaching songwriting back in, I think, 79.
Wow. Okay, so you're talking 40 years this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't think of that.
So we were talking off camera. It is Sunday in East Texas, and if you're not from the state of Texas, you might not know how big football is in the state of Texas. So today is football day. It's actually the conference championship games going on as we speak. And John was telling me a story off camera about the choice between football and music for you and how you determined that choice.
Yeah, the high school I went to was a little one, a graduating class of 27.
Okay.
And I went out for football, not very long. And I was in a town, neighboring town, Indianola, Mississippi, where B.B. King was from.
Okay.
And I went into the teen canteen that they have there. They sell soft drinks and music stuff. And there was a guy standing there. My memory says there was a spotlight on him, but there wasn't. He was just impressive.
Just an aura.
Yeah, and he had a white T-shirt on with his cigarettes rolled up in his sleeve and black slicked hair, brill creamed back, and the two best-looking girls on his shoulder. He had his aviator glasses on and a guitar in his hand. And I literally quit that next Monday, football, and got my guitar and went to Greenville, Mississippi, bought a Telecaster, and started a band with some guys.
So it was all about the girls.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you got into it.
When you're a teenage boy,
Yeah.
what else is there?
Right.
My car,
Yeah.
I had a 51 Mercury.
It's kind of crazy how often we hear that story.
Oh, yeah.
The high school kid quits athletics because of a girl, and
Shoot, yeah.
the guitar is more impressive to the ladies, I guess.
Well, if I'd have been a killer football player, it might have been different.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think it would have been, though.
No, I love music.
So it started because of that, but it did start with the guitar for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a preacher's kid, so I played this little piano
Okay.
all my life, because what do you do when you're waiting on Dad?
Right.
You go into one of the Sunday school rooms and play piano, but it didn't do anything for me, not like the guitar did.
So we're talking like high school years here, right? That it all
yeah.
really began for you.
I played my first guitar, got my first guitar in 59.
Okay. So again, we talked, I didn't know how many decades, and I don't like to talk about that anyway,
Yeah,
but we're talking
fun.
60 years now.
Well, that's all I know how to do. So that kind of motivates you,
Yeah.
I tell my students, it's even hard for me to believe. I look down that guitar and I think, that's paid for my house, my car, my clothes, my life.
Right.
Because I didn't have any part-time jobs other than I was in the military for 4
And the
years.
guitar is almost like an extra arm for you at this,
Oh, yeah,
for you.
well,
I mean, it's always been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you start in, I imagine you start the same as everybody, cover bands, playing songs that you hear.
VFWs, proms,
Yeah.
anywhere we could play.
Right. So how did you go from, because, we've talked to so many people about
Oh,
John
yeah.
DeFoore around here, and everybody talks about how amazing you are with the written word and melody and all of that stuff. obviously, like every musician, you start playing other people's music. But at some point in time in your life, it evolves from that to your own stuff.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
You know, when I went to join the military, I was 18.
Okay.
And it was either that, college,
or get a job.
Yeah. And I'm not a worker. So,
right.
You know. So I joined the military, and they sent me straight to London, England, 1964. And they have college classes for military over there, and have great professors because they're American professors are traveling, so they're more adventuresome than the average professor.
Right, right.
And there was a guy teaching English, creative writing. His name was Dr. Whitt. Well, it did have a little to do with the fact that we met in the back of a pub, which was nice.
Yeah.
But most of us were serious students, so nobody got drunk or anything. We just had a pint and sat around by the fireplace and talked about literature. And I wanted to be an English teacher, I thought. This is while I was in the military. So I took those classes, and then I just took every class he had. You know, because I loved creative writing, and I mean, I loved everything about it.
Right.
Then I realized as soon as I was through with everything he had, I wasn't interested in the rest of English. That was all I was interested in. So I transferred to psychology because my family's all into psych.
Okay.
And
that's interesting.
And then I got where I didn't like that, and that's when I came back to the States, and then we started some bands. And while I was in the bands, I decided to take some more courses because the military was helping pay for them, and I went into music. But I got to tell you something. In 1964, 1973, 68, I got out of the military. If you're overseas and you get out of the military, you have to have a passport.
Right, right.
You have to have a passport if you. And this is a terrible story to tell, but it came down to filling out my passport thing, and it said occupation. I got no occupation. You know?
Yeah.
I'm 21, 22, just getting out of the military.
It's a wake-up call.
So I just thought, musician, I guess.
Yeah.
That's when I made the decision to do it for life.
Wow.
Just that kind of.
That's.
What else?
Yeah.
And,
so what was the first step?
So, bands. That's all I ever did from then on is bands. I taught spasmodically or periodically because when you get back from being on the road with a band or something, sometimes you're off a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. My choices were bouncing, you know, which I've done a little bit of. Not fun.
Right.
And
Been there, done
teaching.
That.
So teaching was kind of neat, and you had the advantage of just getting off the road, so that helped some students. There was a music store there in Abilene, Texas that helped me teach there. I taught overseas. I taught privately and taught for the University of London, some extension kind of courses for them. And so when I came back to the States, I had a lot of already built up stuff so I could teach, you know.
And you're teaching English at that point? Or?
No, music, guitar, yeah.
So you're already teaching?
Oh yeah, I started guitar teaching during the military, 66.
Wow.
So, well, it was extra money.
Right.
You know, and bands don't pay a whole lot.
Of course not.
So,
even to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one reason I don't play in bands anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, the art of teaching was prevalent in your life very early on.
Well, you know what's funny is I'm a spiritual person, and I think God had a plan because creative writing, psychology, and music pretty much set you up to teach songwriting and music. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of psychology in songwriting.
Yeah.
More than people would like to admit. Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, I think I tell a lot of my students the best, if you're going to have a band, you need to go to school and get a degree in child psychology, and that helps you run a band.
Either that or get married and divorced about 6 times.
5 for me.
Okay.
So, but my last one stayed.
That's good.
So, yeah. I don't know why, but she did.
So again, guys, John DeFoore is here. You know, I've got chills because I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. So many people have sat right here in this room, just talking highly of what you do and how you do it. You've made a name for yourself here in the East Texas area. First of all, I'd like to know how you managed to get here to East Texas.
The guy I used to play with a lot in the band found this little piece of property outside of Hawkins. And so I came down to see him and stayed.
You're still in the Hawkins area?
No, he passed away, cancer, but he was the lead singer when this group I was in for a while. We did mutual singing and harmony and stuff, but he did most of the lead.
Okay.
And he had some hits with United Artists back in the 70s, and they dropped him along with Eddie Rabbitt when we were out on the road.
Wow.
And both Eddie Rabbitt and us got dropped. Eddie Rabbitt hung in there and got back up on top, and Tim and I decided to party more while we played.
Was this back when Eddie was basically a songwriter before he was a recording artist?
Well, no, he was recording some.
Yeah.
And, but we were not either one of us on top. We were just, playing and making a living. And it was just they ran out of money. I don't know what the excuse was, but they dropped it. And we partied too much to get back,
So, being a songwriter, the terminology is a starving songwriter, right?
Absolutely.
It's a tough profession for sure. Did you ever make a go at being a published writer?
I had 2 of my songs published back with Tree Publishing back in '68, and a demo done by a guy that did a song, I can't remember his name now, called The Games People Play. But it was one of those maybe and didn't come through. And
so the same song that Conway did later on?
No, I wish it had been. No.
Yeah.
The thing about songwriting, I tell my students this all the time, it doesn't matter how good a songwriter you are.
Yeah.
It matters who hears you. And it's a sad thing to say, but that's just the facts of life.
Right.
I've got some amazing songwriters, and you'll never hear their songs. I've got some artists, friends of mine, who write amazing songs. You'll never hear them unless you're in that particular little area, And
isn't that kind of what East Texas is like? There's so many dang good songwriters around here.
There's some really good songwriters.
Yeah.
It's all down to who hears you.
Yeah.
And the music business is really tough right now. Really tough.
I agree. Texas is a different animal, though, I feel. It definitely helps more. I think there's more freedom for artists here in Texas.
You can be in my opinion, you can be a country artist who goes to Nashville, but you can also be a Texas artist and be successful, too.
I agree.
I'm not sure, I won't mention any other states, but I can't use any name you want to of a state and say that you're this state's artist. Might not carry the weight of being a Texas
I agree.
artist.
I agree. And like I said, there's a whole lot more freedom to be who you are creatively, I feel, in Texas than there is in Tennessee. Nashville does stifle a lot of creativity, I feel, especially now.
Well,
it's tough.
One of my students did an interview on that, Kacey, and she said, and they were talking about the Nashville sound. They want the Nashville sound from that person. I'm sure they'll change. They've always changed a little bit. They're just a little bit slower to change because if it's making money,
they beat it to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I tell my students right now, if you're going to write a killer song, and it's amazing lyrics, and you write this song, and then you make it sound like every other song that comes out, why did you bother? What's the purpose in that? Because how you going it just so several of my students right now, we're working on some sounds that go with the song rather than making the song go with the sound.
Very nice. As a songwriting coach, when you go in with a new student or even a returning student, someone you've worked with for years, how much is creativity versus commercialism? Is that in your approach as a teacher at all?
Yes and no. I tell them, if you're writing to sell and writing for hit, in my opinion only, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what you've got to do is be the best songwriter you can be. Capture the listener and say what you've got to say the best.
Because that connection between...
If you do that, then somebody's going to like the song.
Right.
Because
the connection between an artist and an audience is so super important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that can be I feel that's lost a lot in commercial music nowadays.
I think so too. It's harder and harder for me to find stuff on the radio that I'd like to listen to.
I agree. And I mean, honestly, for me, if I want to hear music that I can connect to, I have to go to a live venue to do so here in East Texas. And thank goodness we have phenomenal songwriters here in East Texas. I could go on and on with naming them. I'm not going to name them. You guys just go back through the annals of our episodes. We're on 304 now. Some of the best songwriters you'll ever hear in your life live right here in Northeast Texas, in Texas in general. And several of them have worked with John as well. I'll name a few names. Miranda Lambert, Kacey Musgraves, Riley Fauci, who's been on the show. Katie Lynn, who was our very first episode, has worked a lot with Mr. DeFoore.
Have you heard Jeff Allen?
I have.
Jeff's one of my students. So is a guy named John Wolf.
Uh-huh. John's ridiculously talented.
Ryan Beaver.
Yep.
You heard?
Uh-huh.
Boy, Ryan's a monster. And I got a guy named Luke LaPrade coming out.
Okay, I know Lucas LaPrade, yeah.
Have you heard his stuff?
I have. He's going to be on the show this season at some
point. His new stuff is really something.
I did not know you were working with him.
Oh,
That's awesome.
We've been working together a couple of years now. He's really amazing me with
Very
some
cool.
of the new songs.
Yeah, we've been in talks with him to get him on the show as well for the last few months or so.
Good man.
But yeah, he's out of the Grand Saline area, I believe.
That's where we live.
Yeah. So again, guys, we're sitting here with John DeFoore. He's coached some of the best talent you've ever heard come out of this section of the world. Do you work with artists outside of the area as well, like people that kind of hear word of mouth? Because you know how it is in the music business, word of mouth.
I've been contacted by some who've tried.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, if they're not necessarily responsible, they get busy.
Yeah.
And they have to miss a lesson. I did some Skype and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not definitely responsible for that time each week, things get in the way. And you know, I'm a pretty tough teacher in some ways. I ask for a song, depending on what they do for a living. I ask for a song to 2 songs a week.
Mm-hmm. See, I heard that from Katie.
Yeah.
When we talked to her about you, I forget which time it was that she was here. I was like, wow, so you had to write 1 or 2 songs a week.
Absolutely.
And I think she's 13 now and just ridiculously
she wrote some really
talented.
nice songs. She got a little too busy to take lessons for a while. But the thing is about songwriting is it's exactly like any instrument or anything else you do. For instance, if you were taking trombone, how good are you going to be in 20 lessons?
Probably decent. Yeah.
No.
You don't think so?
20 lessons, 20 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, to be like playing on TV or radio.
No, you're not ready for that. Yeah.
So, how many songs are you going to? How good are you going to be at writing songs if you've written 20 songs?
No.
Most of the people agree that any song you hear on the radio, or TV or something that catches you, most of them have been written after the first 100 songs.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know, and I've heard that a million times on this show. There's so many that just are sitting dormant because the artist has gotten better.
Oh yeah,
and they don't go.
And there's some good songs.
Yeah,
but they don't just kind of nail you. They got like some of the, like Luke is in his 100 and Riley Fauci is I think he goes by Redding now, but he's in his 150s.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Riley Redding.
And
sorry,
well,
Riley.
nobody could say his name. Bless his heart, So, and Luke, he's in his 100s, and you can see the difference.
Yeah.
They surprise themselves. They come in and say, "When do you hear what I wrote?"
What's that like for you?
So,
when you hear a student that you've been working with for so long,
it's exciting.
And they hit pay dirt in your mind.
I remember I was teaching this girl back in '80, I believe it was. Her name was Michelle Schopt. She was from this area.
I know,
And I was teaching her, and I sent her home to listen to some writers, and I wanted her to write a song. And she came in with a song, and she doesn't remember the song at all, and all I remember is the hook line she had. And the hook line was, "I'm an early morning victim of some late night Cowboys lines."
Wow.
And when I heard that, I thought, okay, we've got a writer. I don't remember Miranda's, because she and that's terrible. Wait a minute. Rick Scary, her dad, they had already written a bunch of songs before. So I don't remember. They were already pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Kacey, she wrote a lot of songs, and I remember the first line I loved she came in with. It was back when they had that cave-in Idaho or Utah or somewhere, and these men were trapped.
Yep.
And I said, why don't you write a song? What's that like? What's going on there, you know? And so she came in and she had a nice little song, but at the end of the line it said, and the devil takes the last car down.
Wow.
And so I said, okay, I look for those things. Luke's got some lines like that. Riley has some lines like that. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
And I've got a ex-student named Amy Holden that writes really well.
I love Amy.
Amy's
her song Gravel Road gets me every time.
She's a good writer.
Yeah.
Good writer. And I've got one that a lot of people haven't heard yet. Her name's Jordan Lackey.
Okay.
She's different. She's not country. But she's a great writer. And I've got so many. I'm embarrassed. I should have thought of who all to mention. But I've got some great students. Michelle had quite a few hits.
Yep.
Her name is Shelley Johnson from, her mother's in Gladewater, I think. She wrote a song making a run to Gladewater, so I don't remember where she's from. But anyway, somewhere in this area. But she got political and kind of messed up her career some.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But that's going to be a huge accomplishment as a teacher, just to see what some of your students are doing. And, I mean, the lines that you're talking about, like the little hooks you're talking about, that's a success in itself. Just
It's a lot of fun. It's a great, think of my job. I get to go in tomorrow and listen to people's new songs.
Right.
You know, and you can see that growing. You can see how they're growing. And there's a lot of things. It's not just write the songs. We talk about how to phrase things and where to, you know, you can, there's a line in one of the songs Thompson wrote. I can't remember his first name, but it's called Vincent Black Lightning. Have you heard that?
Mm-mm.
It's a killer song about a motorcycle. It's about a lot of bluegrass players. What's that? Reckless Kelly did it, and some bluegrass bands did it. But it talks about a motorcycle called a Vincent. And in the song, he says to this girl, if I die, you can ride my Vincent, my motorcycle. But he doesn't say if I die. He said if fate should break my stride. So we talk about that as two students. You're the student here. You got this guy says, okay, if I die, you can ride my Vincent. And this guy says, if fate should break my stride, I'll give you my Vincent to ride.
Wow.
One's poetic, one's just newspaper.
Yeah, one's straight to the point.
And so we start leaning towards, what's a better way to write that? Say the same thing. What's another way to say it? You know, so we get into that and other stuff as we write. You know.
And as part of your, I guess, curriculum, I guess is the way to put it, but do you just come in, because you mentioned with Kacey how you gave her a subject, like, you know,
sometimes I do. It depends. Some people, if we're not careful, there's a lot of love songs.
Right.
You know, a lot of love songs.
Probably a lot of depressing stuff too, heartbreak songs, things like that.
Well, a lot that, but then see, sad sells.
Mm-hmm.
If you add up the songs, you know, how many songs are happy songs?
Not many.
You know, and I think this kind of cathartic. I think it's just helps people kind of get rid of their pain and their anguish, and they can sing the sad songs and suck it up and go back to work. You know.
So imagine, guys, how many songs that this man has heard over the course of his life, being a songwriting coach. He's heard probably the good, bad, and the ugly.
I've heard some. But you know, if I tell my student, if you're not willing to write a bad song, you're never going to write a good song.
Listening to the radio must be a nightmare for you.
No, some, but most of it I don't hear. Unless it's an amazing song, I don't notice it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't listen to the radio as much. I have specific writers I like.
So you don't have those what moments when you're just, like, going down the road listening to the radio, like, what?
You know, yeah, I do. But, you know, that's what... It's a different world, what you hear on the radio in good songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's good to have some of that, but I have a friend who's a amazing writer. We played together around in Dallas and a bunch of places. His name's Tony Lane. He's a Nashville writer now. He's one of the top in the field there now.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's had a lot of songs by everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a Tony Lane song, and he's got some. One of the songs he wrote is "I Need You," that Tim McGraw and Faith Hill did, and he's got a line in there about nobody catches it, but he talks about a cowboy in a Cadillac. He says, some cowboys like me go out like that. talking about Hank Williams dying in the back of Cadillac.
Right.
But if you don't know your stuff,
Yep.
you know, and
Context is important.
Yeah, but he's a great lyric writer, just amazing lyrics. So.
How much experience do you have with Heather Little? Have you heard of Heather or heard
Heather's
her songs?
a great person. She's a friend.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I never taught her anything because she teach me. I love her stuff. I think she's a great lyricist. I'm constantly amazed at what she writes. I get most of my students to listen to her. We discuss some of her songs. She's got a song about whiskey. I don't remember which. She's got quite a few about whiskey, but one of them talks. The woman says something. Pick me up, press me to your lips, twirl me all around. You know,
I'm trying
and
to
love
think.
me like the whiskey in your glass. You know, and most of that is what you do with a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, great idea. For
She's
line,
so
you know?
ridiculous with
And
lyrics.
have you heard Dear Jen?
Oh yeah.
Well,
He's a friend of mine.
I've been in AA since '79 because I tell people when I go to see old friends in Dallas, I go to the cemetery in the afternoon, see a lot of my musician friends, then I go to AA and see most of the rest of them. So you either quit or die, you know. But so I really identify with that song because it's this woman saying, you know, all my friends are gone. They're drinkers. They don't come around anymore and stuff, you know. So.
She's just so good at what she does.
She's an amazing songwriter.
You know, like every time I see her, she's got new stuff, and God, she's so good at what she does.
She really is.
And she's a good example of somebody that that he was talking about earlier. You never hear,
Oh yeah.
or the right people don't hear. Heather's been lucky or blessed or whatever you want to call it. She's been heard by the right people a couple of times. But as a fan of Heather Little, man, she needs to be heard a whole lot more than she is. And that goes for a lot of people around here, you know, dozens and dozens of them. Now, you also teach guitar, I understand, as well.
Yeah, I always taught guitar because, you know, the thing is, when I started off teaching guitar first couple of years, and then I thought, and this is kind of weird, but I thought, what for?
Mm-hmm.
You teach somebody to play guitar, and then they walk off and they don't. So what I do, sit around the house and play, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I started talking to them about how to play in bands. And then I got, you know, that's when I started teaching songwriting. And I guess the first songwriting I taught was in probably the first 67 to 68.
Wow.
I started teaching people, working with songwriters. I wasn't near as good a teacher then as now. You know, I didn't understand a lot of what we were trying to do, and we just discussed some of the things about the greater songs. But the fact is, that's kind of like talking about Eric Clapton to somebody who's been playing guitar for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a transition period in there, and how do I get from here to here?
Yeah.
And that's give me a song every week. And I tell them, you know, this person comes in with a song, it stinks, but it's a song. This person is going to write a really good one, so they're going to wait a week.
How important is honesty from you as a teacher? In other words, are you telling your students, man, that's awful?
Yeah. Well, no. I don't, because it isn't.
Yeah.
Okay? If they bring me a song, I don't care what it is. I don't care. They brought me a song.
Right.
Okay? Each time you write a song, it's a learned process.
Yep.
You're learning a little bit. You know, every time. Here's where it's bad. If you don't bring me one.
Yeah, you did nothing.
That's it. There's nothing to talk about.
Nothing learned.
There's no growing. There's no going anywhere. You know, so the winner brings a song. I don't care if it stinks.
Yeah.
You know, I've got people brought me 20 to 30 stinkers. And then all of a sudden, one comes through and they kind of go, where did I come up with that? Well, you've been working on it for 30 weeks, you know. So I don't hear a bad song as far as it shouldn't have been written. I hear a bad song as it shouldn't let anybody else hear it, maybe.
Right.
You know.
Are you sitting down with the writer that's using these songs weekly to build? Are you sitting down and picking them apart from a technical standpoint with the writer?
Well, it depends. That's a good question. Yes, sometimes. When we reach a certain stage, is when I say that for me, there's too many words in this area. Okay,
Too wordy.
And too wordy in this area, so it doesn't flow. I tell people I can't tell you what a good song is. I tell you what I think it is, but I can't tell you a great song. What I can tell you is I listen. Does it bump me out of my comfort?
Mm-hmm.
Is it smooth? Does it flow? Do the chords all flow together? Do the words all flow together? Is it comfortable to listen to? And at the end, do I remember anything?
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point.
Now, if you cram a bunch of words in one place, we can look at dropping a few words, rearranging how you say it, smooth it out. If it's a chord, we've talked about that on the guitar. These are the chords that you're allowed to use. There's some chords you definitely don't want to use with other chords. You have to stay in your key area, and you'll know if it's wrong, And so, but we've already talked about that. So they pretty well stay in the key most of the time. Words, sometimes they get a few in there, but I used to write tons of songs. I don't write songs almost at all now. And the reason is because this coming up week, I will write part of, or sometimes a little bit more of, 10 to 15 songs this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I do write, as my wife would tell you, a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours every night.
Wow.
But right now I'm into poetry or short stories, and or vignettes is what I call the things I do.
It's funny because I was going to ask you how you get your creative
That's what I do
flowing.
all the time. I've got a little series I'm working on called Texas Ghost Town Snapshots, and it's just little blurbs from different ghost towns I pick out of something happened in somebody's life, and just a little. I'm having fun with it,
Yeah.
And I can't stop writing. I'm a very verbose person.
That's very cool. I think a great question here to kind of wrap this up would be, other than the obvious, family, friends, stuff like that, what makes you the happiest? What makes John DeFoore the happiest?
Wow. Big question. I don't know. I've just got a great life. Look at my job.
Yeah.
I get to hear people's creative ideas on a daily basis. I get to watch them get excited. I get to watch them, they walk in most of the time happy. Look at what I did. Look at, or they walk in saying, God, this one's terrible. And I keep telling them, I don't care. Who cares if it's terrible?
A song.
You brought a song in. And the more you bring in, the better writer you become.
Very cool. So it's John DeFoore, and we're going to talk a little bit with John about how you can reach him. He does have a website out there, which is just a phenomenal site. It tells the story of John, basically, who he's worked with, who he's currently worked with, et cetera, et cetera. Tell the people out there who may have heard of you for the first time today where they can find you and hook up with you.
It's John DeFoore Music Institute.
Okay.
Or DeFoore Music Institute is what it is.
Okay.
.com.
Okay.
And
that's DeFoore.
Very good. Yes, that's it. And Facebook, is DeFoore Music.
Okay.
On Facebook. And I can also always call my best friend over there, and she could sign them up if they're ever interested in. And that's 903-569-8037.
Okay. So direct number right there if you're interested in being taught by the legendary John DeFoore. It's DeForeMusicInstitute.com. We'll put a link to that in the description below. Head on over there and check out who he's worked with, who he is working with, continues to work with, and become the next student of the legendary man himself,
I need
John
some more
DeFoore.
famous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs more famous ones. It could be you. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Mr. DeFoore was awarded a really, really cool achievement this year, the Lifetime Achievement Award from East Texas Music. What did that mean for you?
Oh, that was very nice. I haven't paid a lot of attention to recognition.
Yeah.
Because I got, like I said, such a great job, but that was really nice to be recognized in that way.
And it was very, very well deserved.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again, 6 decades in the music industry in one fashion or another, either playing or teaching music. So guys, it's been episode 304 with the legendary John DeFoore, the 2018 recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from East Texas Music. And again, you guys need to check out DeForeMusicInstitute.com. The link is in the description below. See some of the folks he's working with. Become fans of them as well through that webpage. I'm sure John would implore you all to do that. Because some of them, most of them are amazing songwriters. Several of them have been here on the show. We talked about Amy Holden earlier. She's been here as well. I can't believe I forgot Amy. I'm sorry, Amy. Don't shoot me. By the way, we need to do lunch soon, Amy. But yeah, if you're hearing about the ETX Rock Show for the first time, we want to thank you all for hanging out with us today. You can find us on all social media at ETX Rocks. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Check out the webpage. It's etxrocks.show. You'll find over 12,000 hours of content right there. Some of the best songwriters around, including legendary folks like Ronnie Millsap, Vince Gill, Whispering Bill Anderson. Some of the best songwriters the planet has ever seen are right there on the webpage. So check that out. Again, it's www.etxrocks.show. And as we've said for 304 episodes now, we want to thank you guys out there for always supporting live music of all genres and all styles. And don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
That's right.
From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow, of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.